A little over a year ago, I was in your shoes, searching up on YouTube, how do I make the jump from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship? How do I quit my job? How do I become my own boss and achieve financial freedom? Because I know I'm never gonna get that working for somebody else. All of these things consume me. And unlike 99% of people, I ultimately ended up making the jump. In this video, I'm gonna break down how I ended up leaving my six-figure job, basically figuring things out along the way, and then ultimately now I'm an entrepreneur that runs my own social media agency. I have 10 employees and I make multiple six figures. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 3 things that you need to do to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. And all of these 3 things that I did to make sure I had a clean transition from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. And I wanna make sure that you do that as well, because any mistakes that you make on this journey can be absolutely detrimental, especially if this is your first time doing it, you don't know anybody that's done it before. This is a really big deal. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 1, the first thing that you need to do when making the jump from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship is to make sure you have a nest egg of money saved up. When I left my six-figure job, I spent the entire year before that saving up money. That to me was everything, because money equals safety. I ended up saving $50,000. And the way that I did that, because I was living with my brother, was we were splitting rent. We were eating canned tuna. We would be eating packaged chicken, jumbo pack, whatever it is, like the cheapest chicken that we could find, because we knew that this is the one opportunity in order that we have. Because if we end up spending money on going out and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all these things, our jump is going to be just completely destroyed. Like, we're not going to be able to sustain ourselves, because money equals safety in this situation. And you only have one opportunity. You don't have many opportunities to leave a steady and stable job to then, plunge into the unknown. Many people don't have that opportunity. So if you're fortunate enough to have that opportunity by your hard work, obviously you're saving up money, but make sure that you don't sabotage yourself by spending the 6 months before that or the year before that, just like, wasting the money that could have been on nonsense instead of actually putting it to good use. Which leads me to number 2. You need to have a concrete game plan. If you're going to leave a stable job with benefits and all of that, you need to make sure that you have some sort of plan. Don't just plunge into the unknown for no reason and just be like, I'll figure it out. To be honest, that's kind of something like I did. I kind of just jumped in and it was like, I need to kind of figure this out. I had a plan. I was going to be creating male self-improvement content on YouTube, and I did that for quite a while. However, one thing led to another, and people started to reach out because of my social media experience. I managed social media for Mike Tyson, Brendan Schaub, Mark Sanchez, Steven Crowder, many other celebrities. And so I actually ended up doing something completely different. My initial plan was to leave my 9 to 5, pursue YouTube absolutely full time and wholeheartedly, because I really believed that I could, be successful at it. And instead, I ultimately did do YouTube, but I actually ended up building out an agency because so many people started to reach out to me on LinkedIn and other platforms where they were like, hey, Gary, we know that you manage social media for Mike Tyson, Brendan Schaub, Steven Crowder, Mark Sanchez, and all these other celebrities. Can you manage my own, my personal brand? Can you manage, this person's personal brand that I have, and put out content for them and with them and whatever? And I was like, oh, okay, well, we're basically building out an agency now. So that was my journey. So yes, I did jump from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship into the kind of the unknown, but I had some sort of a game plan. However, that kind of ended up taking a different turn. So they usually say, you make a plan and God laughs. And so that's exactly kind of what happened here. I ended up building out a full-blown agency. But it's always better to actually have something that you're ultimately going to transition to. So whether you're starting a side hustle or you have a side hustle that eventually is now kind of became a main hustle, then do that. Like, that's awesome. Go do that if you've been building it simultaneously with your 9 to 5. So that's not something I had. I just went balls to the wall and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. But if you can do that, then that's ultimately what you need to do. Which leads me to number 3, and that is make sure that you move to a cheaper place. For me, I actually ended up moving to the country of Cyprus. It's basically in the Middle East, but it's also in Europe. It's a tiny little island, and I was actually able to live there for like $1,500 a month. So I don't even know if I ended up spending that much, but I have a European passport. I can live in the US, I can live anywhere in Europe. And so, that was my kind of, that was my golden ticket. So I knew that I was going to be leaving my girlfriend, leaving everybody that I loved, and basically moving to this country with my brother to figure things out, to pursue YouTube. And then I came out of that after 6 months, having built out my agency. But it was a absolutely wild ride. wherever you're at, I don't know if you're in a major city like New York or LA and you need to move to Oklahoma or Iowa or somewhere in the middle of nowhere so that you can live frugally, or if you can, move with roommates, wherever that actual location, you need to change your actual location. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to get at here, is it's not enough to just like cut your expenses. It's like, I need to move somewhere like really fucking cheap so that I don't end up spending any money, so that I can really take this seriously and really just do nothing but focus on this. Like I said, I didn't want to leave my girlfriend. I didn't to do this. We're still together. I didn't want to not do everything in my power that I could to actually take this jump. So I knew that I needed to take drastic measures, and for me, that was moving all the way across the world. My point here is it's a very big decision to leave your 9-to-5. I did not take it lightly, especially if you're making good money, especially if you're in a good company with benefits and all that stuff. But make sure to ultimately save as much money as possible. You need a nest egg. You need to have money saved up, at least 6 months worth of expenses, at least a year's worth of expenses at the very minimum. 2, make sure to have a solid game plan as to what you're going to transition to. It's always better to have a 9-to-5 and then also, be building your side hustle on the side. And then ultimately when the side hustle overtakes that, then you make the jump. That's always the best case. That's not always the thing though. That's not always, reality. So sometimes, whatever you're going to be doing, make sure to actually have that game plan set in stone and know where it is that you're going. And number 3, change your location. You need to go somewhere cheaper. I don't care if you've never been to Oklahoma or Iowa. Those are the places to go to. Montana, I don't know. Go somewhere where you can live as frugally as possible, or like, I don't know, a fucking college dorm or something. Whatever it is, make sure to do that, because ultimately, you need the best chances as possible in order to be successful when you actually transition. So guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Gary Frayter. I'm a celebrity social media manager. I run my own agency, and on this channel, I'm going to be posting entrepreneurship, social media marketing, things that I learned along the way while I'm building out my agency, and just, ways to improve as a man. So it's going to kind of tie into self-improvement, but it's mainly going to be focused on business and social media marketing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.